one. They get two. Game over. Pratt to Terang to Bowers, and the Brewers have swept the Reds in Cincinnati.
Welcome to the Baseball Pregame Show, presented by Import Minded, your trusted choice for exceptional vehicle care on South 27, just north of 894. Tonight, Milwaukee welcomes Chicago for the first time since the Game 5 win in October.
Ball game over. The Brewers will play for the pennant.
We'll preview tonight's matchup on the mound.
When I walked out for the ninth, whole body shiver and, adrenaline really kicked in, and, it was cool.
Thoughts on the lineup?
Yeah, we got a good lineup. We got guys who are going to get on base, steal bases, play good defense.
And all of the storylines heading into tonight's game. So let's get to it.
We have the best fans in the world.
Here is your host, Hunter Baumgardt.
It's a series that's been circled since the schedule came out late last year. It is Brewers, it is Cubs at American Family Field, and it's even more exciting with the fact that Jacob Misiorowski is starting tonight for the Milwaukee Brewers to continue his historic season in a Brewers uniform. Welcome on in. I am Hunter Baumgardt, excited to have you for the next hour to get ready as the rivalry is renewed. The Cubs are in Milwaukee for the first time since the Brewers disposed of the Cubs in the NLDS last season. That Game 5 3-1 thrilling victory. You heard the highlight in the open, and the Brewers will try to continue their success at home against the Cubs from that NLDS last year right into this series. Want to hear from you on the NicolaidLaw.com talk and text line at 877-794-1973. Want to hear from you also on YouTube, Facebook, and X. We are live on all three of those platforms, especially on YouTube. You can hit us up there. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Fox Sports Radio Wisconsin on YouTube. Excited to have you along for the ride. Oh, it is going to be a ride of a weekend. That's the great thing. You love when these two teams get together anytime. But it's even more exciting when it's the weekend. And it's even more exciting when Jacob Misiorowski is on the mound for the Milwaukee Brewers. The Cubs come in 44-37. Milwaukee comes in 49-29. The Brewers are 6.5 games up on the Cubs in the NL Central. And that'll be the case when the two teams square off at 6:45 this evening. Now, tonight's game, a reminder, it is on Apple TV. So if you bought the Brewers TV package, it is not going to be on there because it is a nationally televised exclusive game. So maybe just get that 7-day free trial from Apple TV, and it might just be able to get you this week's game and next Friday, because next Friday when they're in Arizona, they're also on Apple TV. Let's get you tonight's starting lineups for both the Brewers and the Cubs. Yeah. That now that I think about it, that 7-day trial might expire before that Friday night game next week. I don't know. You'll see. You're smart. I trust you on that. But either way, Apple TV is where the Brewers are playing tonight. Jacob Misiorowski on the mound for the Brewers. Colin Ray, old friend, on the mound for the Cubs. Let's get to that Cubs starting lineup. Leading off in center field, Pete Crow Armstrong. Batting second at third base, Alex Bregman. Batting third at first base, Michael Busch. The cleanup hitter is the DH, Seiya Suzuki. Batting fifth in left field, Ian Happ. Batting sixth at second base, Nico Horner. Batting seventh and behind the plate, Carson Kelly. Batting eighth in right field, Matt Shaw. And batting ninth at shortstop, Dansby Swanson, who had an amazing series in New York. Cubs coming off a 4-game sweep of the Mets, who just fired their manager today. For the Cubs, it'll be Crow Armstrong, Bregman, Busch, Suzuki, Happ, Horner, Kelly, Shaw, and Swanson. For the Milwaukee Brewers, lining up against Colin Ray. Here's how Pat Murphy's going to line his guys up tonight. Leading off as the DH, Christian Yelich. Batting second in left field, Jackson Churio. Batting third at second base, Bryce Terang. The cleanup hitter is catcher William Contreras. Batting fifth and in right field, Jake Bowers. Batting sixth at first base, Andrew Vaughn. Batting seventh in center field, Garrett Mitchell. Batting eighth at shortstop is Cooper Pratt. And batting ninth at third base is David Hamilton. For the Brewers, it's Yelich, Churio, Terang, Contreras, Bowers, Vaughn, Mitchell, Pratt, and Hamilton. What stands out about that Brewers lineup to me? The fact that Andrew Vaughn is starting tonight against a right-handed pitcher in Colin Ray. This is something the Brewers have not been doing that much of lately. He's been coming off the bench when a righty starts on the opposition, and usually starting Sal Frelick in right and Bowers at first. But look, Vaughn's been incredible this year, a .351 average overall. I know he's hitting .467 against lefties, so you obviously want him to face any lefty, that comes in. But Against righties, he's also hitting .273, which isn't too shabby either. And he has a .347 on base percentage against righties as well. So he is in the lineup tonight. I had a chance to catch up with him one-on-one in the Brewers clubhouse earlier today. We're going to get to that in about 10, 15 minutes. So stick around for that. Talking to him a little bit about the role that he is playing, coming off the bench or starting. Also just talking about this Cubs-Brewers rivalry. He was with the White Sox. He saw this rivalry when it was White Sox and Cubs, crosstown rival in Chicago. Now he's seen it from this perspective with the Brewers and the Cubs. We'll talk all of that with Andrew Vaughn coming up here in just a bit. But first, let's get to the news of the day, and that is that Jared Koenig is back, the lefty for the Crew that's been so big for the Milwaukee Brewers in their bullpen the last couple of years. He is back, reinstated from the 15-day IL. He has not pitched in the majors since April 4th due to an elbow injury. And so, he didn't allow a run in 3 appearances in the majors for Milwaukee this season, but something just didn't seem right. And it didn't seem right really in spring training either. Now, of course, last year he had a 2.86 ERA in 72 outings. In 2024, a 2.45 ERA in 55 outings. So you really, really like what you're getting back in Jared Koenig if he can be the Jared Koenig of the last couple of years. In Nashville in his rehab assignment, it was a rather long rehab assignment, 11 games that he pitched in Nashville, 3.72 ERA. But, as Pat Murphy says, and as we've learned, it's not all about the results during rehab assignments. It's how he does when he comes back. This is Brewers manager Pat Murphy earlier today at American Family Field talking about Jared Koenig and him coming back to his bullpen.
Yeah, I think it helps a lot. He's experienced. Jared Koenig is as underrated, and we have a few of these, as underrated as anybody in the last 2 years, what he's done to help us win that division title. Koenig was a huge part of it and doesn't get the credit that some of the other guys get. But he's got to be healthy, and we know how this goes. He opened up not healthy, went to the minor leagues down, got himself back, rehabbed, and then got himself back in the minor leagues. We think he's throwing the ball better. We'll see if it's to the level that it was the last 2 years. We hope so, because he could really help us.
And that's the big thing too, right? There's still question marks a little bit with Jared Koenig because they haven't seen it in 2026. They didn't really see it in spring training. The results weren't great in Nashville. Again, results aren't anything on a rehab assignment, but of course you're going to look at them. But it seems like things got better over the last week or so of that rehab assignment. Jared Koenig talked to the media earlier today in the Brewers clubhouse. Here he is talking about his rehab assignment, talking about coming back, joining this team, a team that's 20 games over 500. Also, the rivalry with the Chicago Cubs that he's been a part of for a couple of years now. This is Jared Koenig in the clubhouse talking about returning to the Milwaukee Brewers.
It's obviously it's good to be back here and help support the team. They've obviously done a great job doing everything they need to do to win games, which is great to see. Hopefully I can just contribute a little bit.
How about coming back to this series? Is this when you had? Is this the plan all along, or did it just work out that way?
No, I think it just worked out that way. I was hoping my assignment would be quicker than it was, but it took a couple weeks to actually start to feel decent. So, I'm just excited to be back and again contribute any way I can.
Jared, does that drive you batty? Like you said, it took maybe a couple of weeks longer than you thought. Like being a competitor, you're like, I want to get out there now.
Yeah. It wasn't necessarily getting back like that kind of aspect. It was more so like I did everything I needed to do to feel good, and then it wasn't feeling great. It was more frustrating in that aspect. Like I did everything I needed to do, and it wasn't clicking perfectly, and figured some things out. So it's been good.
Was that hard to get over mentally?
No, I think it was. I think the days it ate at you, yeah, but it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was hard. It was just. I'll use the word again, frustrating. It was just more figuring it out, and once I figured it out, it was
What exactly did you figure out? What wasn't clicking, and what went through that process to figure it out?
Just some mechanical stuff, separation from the hips and shoulders and things like that, little things that make a big difference in taking some stress off the elbow. And so, everything's been pretty good now.
What was kind of the last hurdle for you, just getting the back-to-backs and stuff and
that
sort of thing, how bouncing back and everything?
Yeah, making sure I can come back and do that, and it was good. It wasn't perfect in terms of the plan getting executed for them, but it worked out well with me able to start to feel free again, and that back-to-back was good.
comparatively, is it similar to leaving spring training? Does it feel like you've kind of restarted versus that first week that you had up here?
Probably restarted. Yeah, I probably feel a little better than when I was leaving spring training, so I'd say that's a better thing, yeah.
You guys have battled a lot of injuries this year. How have you kind of noticed the pitching staff kind of get together and still manage it all?
I think it goes to that attitude of next guy up and be ready whenever your name's called. I think the team's handled it well. The players that have taken their roles and done well with it. It's great to have.
Your comeback coincides with your manager toughing it out tonight. What do you think about that?
I mean, he's not going to say he's in any pain, and I'm sure he's not. He's stubborn, and that's what we like.
He's got that football mentality, for lack of a better thing, doesn't
100%. Yeah, it's that football college mentality. Like, no, it'll all be fine. I went and talked to him, asked him. He's like, "Oh, I'm fine. Don't worry." I'm like, "Yeah, I figured. I was just asking." Yeah.
With Miz back on the mound tonight, just again from afar, what has impressed you most about him?
I mean, how much growth he's shown from the last year. He's shown a lot of. I mean, his command's improved immensely, obviously, and he's still throwing just as hard, which is great. I think from afar he's looked fantastic as well as the world knows that. I mean, the one hit shutout was incredible to see, and I wish I could have been here for it, but I sent him a text after the night saying, "Hell of a job!" Like that was the big boy stuff right there, and figuring it out, which is awesome.
He's had 13 months in the majors. What have you seen from him growth-wise?
Like I said, command's improved. He's within himself a little more, like a little understanding of like when to be and where to be, excited, things like that. And I think he's done a really good job.
Jared Koenig talking about a myriad of topics there, including returning to the team and also Miz and also his manager, Pat Murphy, back in the clubhouse. It's not like he missed any games. He had back surgery yesterday, and he is back, pardon the pun, but back with the team today. He had it in Appleton yesterday, and he said he's in a lot less pain today. You'll hear from him here in just a moment that he has been over his last 6 to 10 days. So that's good. Immediate relief for him, which is great news because he was in a lot of pain over the last 10 days or so. We'll hear from Pat Murphy in just a moment, but he had surgery yesterday in Appleton, and he is back managing today. That is, if anything describes Pat Murphy, I think that describes it well. Here he is. This is about just under 4 minutes of Pat Murphy taking you through. He'll take you through everything. What the surgery was. At first, we didn't know if he wanted to get into it. And then he kind of got more into it. He gives the shout out to the doctor and everything in Appleton yesterday that did the procedure. So here is Brewers manager Pat Murphy on his surgery so just to give you background again, surgery yesterday on the back in Appleton. And then he's going to manage tonight, but he will not be in the dugout. So, if Apple TV shows the dugout and he's not there, don't fret. He's still managing, just might be a little farther down the tunnel. He'll explain in this video. Here is Brewers manager Pat Murphy.
How are you feeling? Come on. I'm good. Let's not make a big deal out of this.
Kind of is. Surgery's a big deal.
Huh?
Surgery's a big deal.
Yeah. 2.5-hour surgery. It was great. Dr. Reb Holtz, one of the greatest, unbelievable man in Appleton. I think he works here too, but Reb Holtz, unbelievable. Went in there and fixed it.
If we could ask, what did you have done exactly? Was it just that was removed, or?
Yeah. I had a ruptured disc, maybe more than one, and they just cleaned it out, and they do, I don't know what the procedure's called, but they do something and drill a hole and do something else. I don't know. I didn't ask, just fix it. You know what I mean? You get your car done, you don't ask specifics, do you? You just go.
Body, though. I mean, that's kind of important.
Yeah, but what are you going to do? When they explain exactly what they're doing, what are you going to say? No, I'll do a little less of that and a little more of this. You just do it, man. You just close your eyes and, do it.
Do you feel relief, immediate relief?
Yeah, feel great. Feel great.
Where will you be positioned?
Safely positioned. I'm not supposed to take a hit because the fusion, the next one's back fusion. You don't want to take a hit. So I don't know what kind of hit I can take, but, if the blue-haired kid gets pissed at us or something, he might. You know what I'm saying? You never know.
So you just call moves down from the tunnel, or how?
No, yeah, I'll be close to the dugout. Yeah, that's simple.
There's collaboration anyway.
Exactly. I don't. What you're trying to allude to is I don't do that much.
Pat, why did you feel like you had to manage tonight? Just not take a night off?
The whole reason to do it on the off day is because there's a possibility you could manage the next day. You know what I mean? And that's what I love doing, and that's the rhythm that we've had. So you want to show the guys that this is the rhythm we have, and I'm not trying to be Superman. It's not about me, but this is the rhythm we have, and let's keep that rhythm.
When you show up at your work, is that kind of the way you were raised or the way you're wired, so to speak?
Yeah, I'm nothing special, but I've made that clear. But yeah, it's just something that I can do. Like I feel like this is it. Like I was in way more pain the last 6 days, the last 10 days, than I am today. So I'm thankful, grateful. Dr. Rebholz, the whole group up there in Appleton. I think the nurse's name was Stacy that I gave the hardest time to. But yeah, I've had great support. I appreciate it all. But let's get on to the important part.
So what's the next step for you? And did that procedure yesterday help the doctors figure out what you're going to do next?
Yeah, I'm just going to take it easy for a couple days, and then I'll be back at it in a more normal way. But I'm still not going to do anything different than I have been doing. So Hook will make the moves. Hook will go out and make the pitching changes, but we're all still taking on our same roles.
Murph, did your medical team suggest maybe taking a day off?
Yeah, they certainly did.
Are you here AMA
What's AMA?
against medical advice?
I'm not sure. I'm too clouded to know that, so. No, I mean, we're all on the same page. We're all working together, and
Good.
yeah, I'm not trying to be a hero or anything. I'm just,
There you go, Brewers manager Pat Murphy. Lots of jokes in there, lots of different back and forths, but I think you get the gist, right? He wanted to be back with his team somehow, some way, and really the reason he's not going to be in the dugout is just so he doesn't get hit by a foul ball or something like that. That is really the big thing. If a play goes down, and I it's obviously very low risk, but who knows if Contreras is trying to make a play and he dives, he rolls down, he hits. Who knows? But I don't think he'll be too far away from the dugout and making the key decisions. Chris Hook will go out and do the pitching changes like he has been, and it'll be rock and roll for the Milwaukee Brewers against the Chicago Cubs this weekend. But that rhythm, right? That routine that Brewers players, or that baseball in general, baseball players and managers are in, you don't want to disrupt that if you can help it. And it seems that Pat Murphy can help it, right? He is able to manage tonight despite having surgery yesterday. And to be honest, when I saw him walk into the media auditorium at American Family Field, he was walking better than he was last homestand. I mean, I didn't see him in Cincinnati and Atlanta, but I would imagine he was walking similar to how he was in that last homestand against the Phillies and Guardians, and couldn't make the pitching changes. Not that he can make the pitching changes now right after back surgery, but just even walking was a little more upright, a little more confident. Just, yeah, you can see that the pain relief is really immediate with that. And so glad he's feeling better, and he'll be making those pitching changes and sitting in that dugout before we know it. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, you'll hear my one-on-one conversation with Andrew Vaughn, and we're also going to dig into who are the Cubs as they come into this game, because they have had a very up and down season, and where are the Brewers coming into this game as well. So we'll dig into this rivalry. We'll dig into these two teams, how they match up, and my one-on-one interview with Andrew Vaughn from earlier today. That is all next. You're listening to the Baseball Pregame Show presented by Import Minded on Fox Sports 920.
Baseball Pregame Show on Fox Sports 920. Presented by Import Minded, your trusted choice for exceptional vehicle care on South 27th, just north of 894. Here's your host, Hunter Baumgardt.
Getting you set for Brewers and Cubs at American Family Field. Remember, they'll be in their Wisco uniforms coming up tonight. It is a City Connect Friday here in Milwaukee. Brewers coming in 49-29, 6.5 games up on the 44-37 Cubs. Did you know both teams coming in with 4-game winning streaks? We'll get into how hot the Cubs have been as of late, but also who they have been playing. And the Brewers, they are coming in hot as well, coming off that 4-2 road trip to Atlanta and to Cincinnati. Jacob Mizorowski on the mound for the Brewers, Colin Ray on the mound for the Chicago Cubs. Want to hear from you on YouTube? Feel free to comment on Fox Sports Radio Wisconsin's YouTube. I see Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trey. Appreciate you giving a comment here. Big series for the Crew. Perfect setup pitching-wise. No doubt about it, Trey. No doubt about it. And Lex says, no bench clearing brawls tonight. Yeah, no, agreed, Lex. No doubt about that either, because you don't want anybody to get mad and Pat Murphy to be in a scrum. And that's why he's going to be not in the dugout. Not part of anything. Not a part of any scrum. Phil says, happy Miz Day. Well said, Phil. Well said. Keep those comments coming over there on YouTube, Facebook, and X, or the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line at 877-794-1973. Earlier today, I had a chance to catch up with Brewers first baseman Andrew Vaughn about the rivalry, about his approach at the plate, about coming off the bench versus starting. We covered a myriad of topics. Here is my conversation with Brewers first baseman who is starting at first base tonight and batting sixth, Andrew Vaughn.
Andrew, appreciate the time. What is, you've experienced this rivalry between the Brewers and the Cubs. Obviously, in the playoffs, it's a different level. What have you enjoyed about the intensity of these games?
Yeah, the environment's great. The fans are loud. Get the fans from the north side to come up too. They're exciting games. It's going to be, back and forth a lot of the time. Some really good baseball play.
What's the difference? You obviously probably experienced it. You did with the White Sox as well. What's kind of the differences you've noticed from that rivalry compared to this one? If any. It's intense on both sides, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. I guess the one is in the same city, in Chicago.
Yeah.
I guess that's really the only difference. Milwaukee's only, an hour away, so it's not a huge difference, but I would just say it's the same league. Both National League and the other one was interleague, so I guess that'd be the difference.
Absolutely. You guys have been good within the division this year. How important is that to keep that going in a series like this one?
Yeah, I think it's huge. Every game counts, no matter who you're playing, so I think we just got to keep it rolling and, keep doing our thing.
What do you feel personally has led to the success you've had at the plate this year? Is it something different than last year? Is it kind of keeping what you did, some of the things last year, making a little adjustments? What have you felt has been good for you at the plate?
Yeah, I feel like, the adjustments I made last year, just continue to grow on them, trying to get better every day. That's really it.
Mm-hmm. People have talked about, your really success against lefties specifically so far, and you're coming off the bench in those spots, and like you did the other night with that big hit. What mentally does that change when you are going out there in a situation where, bases are loaded, it's a key point in the ball game? How do you kind of approach that mentally?
I have a really good routine, whether I'm starting or whether I'm coming off the bench. Just stay dialed into that and, trust it and do my research on the pitcher, know what he's going to do to me, and, have a plan when I go up there.
What's a difference or two in your approach, when you're in the lineup compared to coming in the middle of a game?
In-game, same approach, against the pitchers. But, it's just different. You're getting ready earlier if you're starting, obviously, and then later it's kind of you have to figure out what point during the game you're going to get ready, you're going to stretch out, you're going to get your stuff done in the cage.
How about your manager, Pat Murphy, getting it out after his back surgery yesterday and ready to manage tonight? What can you say about him?
Man of steel, man. Man of steel.
Absolutely. Also, I was going to ask you, you've played third base a couple of times this year. I know, as you've said, it's, hey, whatever the team needs. What, how comfortable have you felt over there, and what have you liked just the times you've been over there?
Yeah, definitely gotten more comfortable over there. days that I'm not playing first, I'm taking ground balls over at third, just, being ready because you never know when it's going to happen.
And how much do they emphasize that as well? Just kind of taking ground balls at different places to be ready for anything?
I mean, I think our whole infield does that, which I think it's important, even for an everyday first baseman to go out and take ground balls at, second, short, just be an athlete.
Absolutely. Andrew, appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me.
There you go. Be an athlete. There you go. That could be on a T-shirt. Be an athlete. Andrew Vaughn, first baseman for your Milwaukee Brewers. Appreciate a couple of minutes with him earlier today in the clubhouse and talking about, the approach is the same, just the timing is a little different, right? You're getting ready a little later when you're pinch hitting in a game, but otherwise it is business as usual, and he has been fantastic at the plate. 351 batting average for Andrew Vaughn. He hit sixth and will play first base tonight for the Milwaukee Brewers. You're listening to the Baseball Pregame Show here on Fox Sports 920, WOKY AM Milwaukee. Appreciate you tuning in here this evening. Want to hear from you on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line or on YouTube as well. The text line is for 877-794-1973 or on YouTube, the Fox Sports Radio Wisconsin YouTube channel, Facebook, or X, wherever you may be watching. Why? How are these two teams coming into this matchup? I think it's interesting because it's very similar. Both teams, the Cubs and the Brewers, are 7-3 in their last 10. Both teams, the Cubs and the Brewers, both riding a 4-game winning streak into this series. The Cubs just swept the Mets in a 4-game series, and Carlos Mendoza has been fired because of it. I mean, not just because of the series, but because of their year as a whole, and it culminated with an awful performance against the Cubs over the last 4 days. Brewers, of course, just swept the Reds, so both teams coming off sweeps. Again, 6.5 games separate these two in the division. And it's interesting because last year, you probably remember this, Brewers were heading into a series at Wrigley Field in mid-June, 5.5 games back of the Cubs. They were then 6.5 games out because they lost the opener of that series. It ended up being a 2-game series because the middle game got rained out. But similar timing, about June 19th or so, and today's the 26th, maybe a week earlier, but similar timing where one of the teams was 6.5 back of the other. Well, the Brewers won the finale of that series, split that series overall, and then started their climb to the top of the NL Central. They officially tied the Cubs a month later on July 20th, and the rest is history. Obviously, the teams are flipped this year, but interesting how similar things were last year with the teams just flipped, right? Like the Cubs were 6.5 games up on the Brewers about this time last year and hosting the Brewers at their park. And then the NL Central flipped. Do I think that's going to happen this year? Not really. I think the Brewers have shown to be more consistent than the Chicago Cubs. I think they're starting to really come into their own. You're starting to see some of the pitchers, especially Brandon Sproat, pitch better as of late. I think it's going to help getting Woodruff back, obviously, as well. Hopefully they can get Henderson back soonish too. But it's like these series can swing sometimes, especially momentum, especially how you play afterwards. So my goal for this series, and I ask you that question, what is your goal for this series? I think my goal is just win it. And I think that's probably going to be yours too, but I'm curious to see what your goal is in this series. You obviously don't want to get swept because then all of a sudden you have a 3.5 game lead in the division. Not that the games back is necessarily incredibly important because you got like 80 some odd games left of the season. So there's a lot of time obviously left in this season, but I think it is important that you continue to build that or at least keep it where it is for a while. And that means you're just playing consistently good baseball. So what is your preference? Obviously the preference is a sweep, but what do you need out of this series if you're the Milwaukee Brewers? Do you need a sweep? Do you need a winning of the series? Obviously a sweep would put the Cubs 9.5 back, and there's probably a chance of a sweep. In fact, you have Jacob Mizorowski, Kyle Harrison, and Brandon Woodruff on the mound over the next 3 days. The Cubs have not announced their starter for tomorrow or for Sunday quite yet. They've got Colin Ray on the mound tonight. Old Brewer Colin Ray. We'll get to his stats for this season coming up here in just a bit, along with Miz. But I think it's a win the series scenario because you win the series, you gain a game on them, and you put them 7.5 back. I think you'd like to just win the series. You win 2, you lose 1, you're 7.5 above the Cubs coming out of this series. I think you'd like that and continue to just win series. That is what the Brewers have done for a lot of this season, and you'd hope that continues. Let me see here. Kevin says, how about Sproat? He's gotten better and better. It's exactly right, Kevin. No doubt about it. And I would assume that he'll probably start Monday against the Reds. Roger says, this is time to make the biggest statement of the season. Absolutely no reason not to sweep this series. Go Crew. All right, so Roger's going for the full sweep. He wants to see the full sweep. Obviously, we all want to see the full sweep, but he's going, there's no excuses here. Go and sweep with your 3 big dogs on the mound over the next 3 days. And I don't fully disagree. You've lined this up perfectly with Miz, Harrison, and Woodruff, and you've given these guys an extra day of rest, and they're going to be coming in fresh. Miz hasn't pitched since last Friday. By the way, this is his 5th time pitching on a Friday this season. His ERA on a Friday, 0.68. 0.68. He's been sensational. He's given up just 2 earned runs over 26 1/3 innings on a Friday start. I know it's random, but if you're like, feels like Miz has pitched on a lot of Fridays, you're exactly right. This will be his 5th start on a Friday. And you love him, love him in that Wisco jersey, especially what he did against the Phillies in that Wisco jersey and against the Yankees and, all the home games that he's had. So anyway, that's just a side note. But what do you want to see in this series? A win a series, obviously win the series or sweep. What is your expectation here with knowing that you have their 3 horses on the mound? Now, the Cubs are incredibly beat up. They put Phil Maton on the IL today, another injury. So now this is the list of Cubs pitchers that are on the IL. Ben Brown, Edward Cabrera, both going on the IL within the last week. Cade Horton, Justin Steele, Jameson Tyone. That literally could be a 5-man rotation right there. That's the crazy part. They have a 5-man rotation on the IL. So really, you look at this list and it continues. Hunter Harvey, Porter Hodge, Riley Martin, Shelby Miller, Daniel Palencia, their closer, and now Phil Maton. You look at that list and you say, how is this team 7 games over 500? Well, they made hay while the sun shines, so to speak, earlier in the season, those 2 10-game winning streaks. Then, of course, they had the 10-game losing streak. So wild that's just wild for a team to do that. 2 different 10-game winning streaks and then a 10-game losing streak. Very streaky team, obviously. They come in 7-3 in their last 10 coming into this one. But that list of injuries, when I added it all up today, and I knew they were injured. Obviously, you keep tabs on them. But that is another level. And so it's honestly good on them to be able to weather this storm and be 7 games over 500 and 6.5 back of the Brewers, considering how many pitchers they have injured. I mean, again, they have not listed a starter for tomorrow or Sunday. It's where they've been. I think David Peterson, who they just acquired from the Mets this week, is probably going to factor in the next 2 days, whether it's a start or whether it's bulk. But really looking, you really look at that list and you say, wow. So obviously the Brewers know a bit about pitching injuries as well. The current list looks like Logan Henderson, Coleman Crowe, Quinn Priester, Brian Fitzpatrick, DL Hall, Angel Serpa, Rob Zastryzny. So it's not like the Cubs, but it's still some significant names on there. I think Logan Henderson probably, obviously Quinn Priester highlighting it, but those who will come back, Logan Henderson probably highlights that. So as usual, these teams are quite similar. Like I feel like these teams are kind of mirroring each other over the last few years. The Brewers have been able to get the best of them in the regular season and in the postseason. And how do these two match up, though, when it comes to stats, when it comes to offense, when it comes to pitching? Where do the Brewers have the advantage? Where do the Cubs have the advantage? Let's take a look, okay? Offense. Chicago Cubs are 17th in baseball in batting average. So bottom half of the league in batting average at 243. The Brewers are 6th in batting average at 254. So again, the Cubs are hitting 243. Brewers are hitting 254. On base percentage, this is where the Cubs jump way up. They are 3rd in baseball in on base percentage at 337. The Brewers are 2nd in baseball at 338. So they are both top 3 in on base percentage. Now, you say, Hunter, how can a team be 17th in average and 3rd in on base? Well, the Cubs are 1st in baseball in walks, and that describes it. 355 walks. The Brewers are tied for 2nd in walks in baseball, but they're at 329. So the Cubs have 26 more walks than anybody in baseball coming into action tonight. How about home runs? This is advantage Cubs. 15th in baseball are the Cubs with home runs, 95, which has went down. From what I remember, and this is just off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure when the Brewers and Cubs played at Wrigley, they were near the top in home runs. But they are 15th at 95 home runs. The Brewers are 28th. We all know that, 70 home runs. Stolen bases. Cubs, 15th, right smack dab in the middle, 57, right league average, 57 stolen bases. Brewers are 5th in baseball at 77 stolen bases. The Brewers have stolen 20 more bases than the Cubs. Cubs have struck out the 12th most amount of times in baseball. They have a 682 strikeouts. Brewers have struck out the 7th least amount of times in baseball, 643. As I mentioned, walks. Cubs are first at 355. Brewers tied for second at 329. So in batting average, advantage Brewers. On base, advantage Brewers by a little. Home runs, advantage Cubs. Stolen bases, advantage Brewers. Strikeouts on offense, advantage Brewers. Walks, advantage Cubs. Pretty even overall, but the Brewers a little better offensively overall. Pitching, ERA. The pitching stats are where it gets pretty staggering. ERA. Cubs are 17th at 4.27 is their team ERA. The Brewers are second in baseball, 3.38 ERA. They almost have a run better in earned run average to the Brewers overall. Strikeouts, Cubs are 23rd in baseball at 637. The Brewers are second in baseball at 769. The Phillies snatched back the top spot in strikeouts in baseball last night, but the Brewers have about 130 more strikeouts than the Cubs do this year. And again, this makes sense. They've had a ton of injuries on the rotation front. Home runs. The Cubs have allowed the most home runs in baseball at 123. The Brewers have allowed the second least amount of home runs at 73. You think about that. Brewers have allowed 50 less home runs than the Chicago Cubs. 50. 5-0. That's pretty impressive. How about starter ERA? And this is where, like I said, the Cubs literally have a starting rotation on the IL right now, and this is where it shows. Starter ERA, the Cubs are 25th at 4.59. Brewers, they're first in baseball at 3.23. Run almost a run and a half better in ERA when it comes to starter ERA. And again, that's amazing. I said it last night on Milwaukee Baseball Tonight. Like, it's incredible that the Brewers have the best starting ERA in baseball, considering that was the biggest question mark probably coming into this season, other than maybe third base. Just incredible. Reliever ERA, Cubs 12th, 3.84. Brewers 7th in ball, 3.56. So ERA, advantage Brewers. Strikeouts, advantage Brewers. Walks, advantage Cubs. They have walked 251. Brewers have walked 259. Home runs, advantage Brewers. Starter ERA, advantage Brewers. Reliever ERA, advantage Brewers. The pitching is where you can really see the difference between the two, and that is why the Brewers are 6.5 games up on the Cubs. You think about that Red Series, it's not like the offense, especially in the first two games, won them those games. It was the pitching that won those two games. And so those are the types of differences that can make. And when you have basically a full rotation on the IL like the Cubs do, that you're going to have to go deep into your organization, and that has not bared a ton of fruit for the Chicago Cubs. And look, the Brewers have had pitching injuries as well, but what did they prioritize in the offseason? Getting a ton of pitching so they could try to survive as many injuries as they could. Let's get to a couple of comments here before we take a break, and then come back and look at our pitching matchup tonight in the lineups one more time and get you some fast facts before I let you go. Let me see here. Phil says, don't forget the other stat. Brewers second most wins in baseball. Cubs tied for 7th most wins in baseball. Yes, absolutely. Love that stat. That's kind of, you know what? That's my favorite kind of stat, Phil. I definitely like that. All right. Asking you what you want in this series. Lex says, this is the type of series that scares me. Our best starters, who knows what the Cubs will do? Yeah, I mean, it's possible. One of the the thing about having 3 horses going in a row is it's not very likely that all 3 will have bad outings in a row. Like, if Miz is going to have a bad outing, like, he'll probably have a bad outing at some point. But is Kyle Harrison immediately going to follow that up with his worst outing? Probably not. And is Brandon Woodruff then going to follow that up with a bad outing? Probably not. Like, that's what you love is you have these guys lined up. And then if you get some offense as well, take advantage of the Cubs being beat up. Again, it can be about when you play a team, not necessarily, who you're playing, but when you're playing them. And the Brewers are playing the Cubs at a good advantage time for the Milwaukee Brewers. Mad City Brew says 1 inning at a time, 1 game at a time. Absolutely love it. Mad City Brew says, I hope Miz mixes up his pitches because the Cubs love the fastball, or the Clowns, as he says, love the fastball. Yeah, so make sure to mix. I'm sure they are looking out for that. Charles says, the Cubs worry me. I don't see them being out of the race till the end. One bad slump from the Brewers and watch out. They're a talented team. I was writing down the lineup, and we'll get to the lineups here on the other side of the break. I was writing down that lineup today, and I'm thinking, again, how is this team behind the Brewers every year? But it's because the Brewers are just so solid at so many different things. That's why. It's not all just about what your lineup says. Mad City Brew, Brewers need to be focused on defense and no more third strike looking. Swing the bat. Yeah, totally. Also, Mad City Brew said he has his swear jar ready. Yeah, look, the Brewers and the Cubs, when these two teams get together, it is intense. I cannot wait to be at the ballpark all weekend. If you're looking for coverage of the Brewers all weekend, follow me on socials, Hunter B on Air. That's on X, especially, but then also on Instagram at Hunter B on Air, on TikTok at Hunter B on Air, and then if you're on Facebook, Hunter Baumgardt Sports. Just Hunter Baumgardt Sports. You can see, how to spell my name either if you just search it on YouTube or whatever. Baumgardt, Hunter Baumgardt Sports on Facebook as well, and you'll be able to find that and follow along as I'll have coverage throughout the weekend of this Brewers Cubs series. When we come back, we'll look at the pitching matchup. We'll get you the bullpen report. We'll get you the lineups. We're going to do a lot in the last segment of the show, so do not go anywhere. It's the Baseball Pregame Show presented by Import Minded on Fox Sports 920.
Milwaukee takes the field in a matter of minutes. It's time to take a look at tonight's lineup on the Baseball Pregame Show, presented by Import Minded, your trusted choice for exceptional vehicle care on South 27th, just north of 894. Here's Hunter Baumgardt.
We'll get to the lineups here in just a moment if you missed them earlier, but a quick reminder, Brewers and Cubs tonight on Apple TV. So if you're looking for the game, it'll be on Apple TV. It's a nationally exclusive game, so not on the regular Brewers channel. But Alex Faust, Ryan Spielborgs, and Trisha Whitaker will be on the call. I had a chance to talk with Trisha Whitaker last night on Milwaukee Baseball Tonight. If you missed that, just search Baseball Pregame Show with Hunter Baumgardt on the iHeartRadio app, and you go back and listen to that. But she is, of course, the inventor. She was the one interviewing Pat Murphy when he brought out the pocket pancake, and that went viral. And, of course, he's known as the pocket pancake man. So who knows what will happen tonight, especially because he's not going to be in the dugout. So fascinated to see what Trisha has up her sleeve coming up tonight. Let's get to the bullpen report, which is brought to you by Community Roofing and Restoration. The Brewers are in pretty good shape, honestly. You look at especially their A bullpen, right? Because Ashby, Uribe, and McGill all haven't pitched since Tuesday. They got 2 days off. I would think they are available tonight. Now, Joe Kunal threw 31 pitches on Wednesday. Chad Patrick threw 40 pitches on Wednesday. I would think they'll try to stay away from those guys, but in a pinch, they could pitch. I would think they'll be available, especially Kunal. Grant Anderson, 24 pitches on Wednesday. I would think he's available as well. And then Robert Gasser is going to be available out of the bullpen, according to Pat Murphy. He said that a couple of days ago. He threw 97 pitches on Sunday. So if you go with the every fifth day start, that would be tonight. So I would think he'd be available starting tonight. And that's how the bullpen shapes up. So pretty good shape. Nobody's on the absolutely cannot pitch mode. I would think they'll try to stay away from Chad Patrick, but I don't know. Otherwise, I think everybody's fair game. That's the bullpen report brought to you by Community Roofing and Restoration. Beauty, durability, and excellence since 1975. Tonight's starting pitching matchup between Jacob Misiorowski and Colin Ray. Whenever Jacob Misiorowski is on the mound, it is must-see television. Get this. He's in his last 9 starts, he's 7-1 with a 0.45 ERA. 60 and a third innings, 3 earned runs. I'll say that again. 60 and a third innings, 3 earned runs. That is exceptional. So making his 16th start of the season, his second against the Cubs. He dominated them at Wrigley. Misiorowski started last Friday at Atlanta. Unfortunately, the team took a 3-2 loss, but he went 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 7 Ks on 91 pitches. Surprisingly, the Brewers are 9-6 in his starts. Like sometimes he just hasn't gotten the offense to back him up. Colin Ray, who has Colin Ray been in 2026? Well, he is 5-5 with a 4.99 ERA. He gets the start for the Cubs tonight. 2 of his last 3 starts, he's given up 4 or more runs. And in June, his ERA is 5.85. However, his last outing was one of his better outings of the season. 5 1/3, no earned runs, no walks, 3 Ks against the Toronto Blue Jays in Chicago. But his, again, June ERA, 5.85. His May ERA was 4.78. He has allowed multiple runs in 8 of his last 10 starts. Again, multiple runs in 8 of his last 10 starts. So that is the scoop on Colin Ray and on Jacob Misiorowski. And I wanted to play this quick clip from Pat Murphy earlier today. This is Adam McCalvey of MLB.com asked the question, it seems that Miz gets up for these types of games, these bigger games, pitching against the bigger teams. This is what Pat Murphy had to say. Here's the question as well.
I think that's a little different about him. Some pitchers will try to say every start's the same and every opponent's the same. But he always talks about liking kind of premium, like facing the Yankees.
Yeah.
Facing the Cubs tonight.
Yeah.
In a big weekend. Does that make him a little different?
He's different. There's no question. He's different. And he does seem to rise to the occasion, But that's part of this maturation process. Is there's a little bit of both in there, Like I told you in Colorado, I didn't think he was focused. You know what I mean? And then he had to turn it on there, and you can't always do that. This game is a game where you execute pitches, and sometimes the results happen whether you execute or not. But if you don't execute pitches and then, maybe execute a few and then they get whacked, you're like, wow, what happened? Well, because you weren't focused before that you try to just turn it on. So, and then sometimes you get up for a game. This is a trap game, right? I mean, Miz is pitching. You know, you got to go out and play the game. You got to play all nine, as we learned last game, right?
Yeah, and I think Murph at the end there basically saying, Miz is on the mound. We can't just expect to win. We got to go out and play the game. All right, Brewers. Here's their lineup for tonight because we don't have time to get to the Cubs lineup, but Brewers lineup tonight. Yelich, leading off, I'm not going to have time to do the whole thing. Yelich, Chourio, Turang, Contreras, Bowers, Vaughn in the lineup against the righty, and then Mitchell, Pratt, and Hamilton. Yelich DH, Chourio left field, Turang second base, Contreras catcher, Bowers right field, Vaughn first base, center field Mitchell, shortstop Pratt, third base David Hamilton. Brewers trying to go to a season high 21 games over 500. Put the Cubs 7.5 games back. I'll talk to you on Monday at 5:30 as the Brewers get set to take on the Cincinnati Reds. Hopefully we're talking about a sweep. Who knows? Follow me on socials all weekend long at Hunter B on air. Really appreciate everyone joining throughout the week. It's been a fun week. Let's make it another fun one. This has been the Baseball Pregame Show. I'm Hunter Baumgardt on Fox Sports 920. Good night.